Hi, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, we cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being to help level us all up to our most successful selves. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest, and I have been trading for 3.5 years now, and I currently focus predominantly on day trading the futures instrument for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, otherwise known as YM. I found early on that for my personality, I most enjoyed the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading compared with other opportunities that I tried, such as swing trading. So thanks for joining me today. One of the favorite things that we like to do is to talk trading and all things related to trading. So even if who we're talking to trades a different instrument, time frame, or style, there is generally always so much crossover between the experiences of traders, and sharing tips and tricks can actually be really helpful as we are each working towards our most effective trading systems. But I don't just love talking to traders. So this is a special episode because today we get to speak with Dr. David Bonanno, who, among other things, specializes in helping traders have better control of their mindset and emotions so that they can more rapidly reach their fullest potential. So you know that I love bringing killer resources on the show. So this is definitely going to be a can't miss episode. So let's just get into it. So Dr. Bonanno, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Sure, yeah. Let me start with a fun fact about my name, please. So it's in Italian and it's Bonanno, which means good year, and they actually say that for Happy New Year. Isn't that wild? I always wanted to go there for New Year's and then just be like, what? Like as everybody's saying it. And it's also I'm also saying this so that people can remember how to spell it because it's Bonanno, which means Bonanno. Like if Bonanno, that means good year. If you say Bonanno, that actually means good anus, and I don't stand for that. so, so yeah, Bonanno, that's what you want.
I think we're just going to leave that in because that's a really fun fact. And Bonanno, welcome to the show.
Yes, grazie. All right, so yeah, it's really nice to be here, Becky. And so I have this. I'll just tell you what I got, and then I'll tell you how I got there. So I have this online series of sessions that are they're not therapy sessions, but it's sort of like hypnosis. So but it's not. There's no trance, and it's people kind of freak out when you talk about hypnosis. But if somebody were to say you shouldn't be afraid of losses, and then that's gonna kind of paralyze you. Well, and then to your mind, you say, well, yeah, I shouldn't be afraid. It makes sense logically, but then knowing what you should do and actually doing that are two entirely different things. And so what if you could have a shortcut and then be able to just do one session and just really rewire your brain in just 20 minutes? I mean, that's what I have created because I actually had an app that could treat PTSD better than a therapist. But like we were talking about before, PTSD is it's just so full of so many different voices, and people didn't quite know what I was doing, and they would rather use their insurance, and it just didn't really work out that way. So my wife's uncle came to me, and he is a trader. I'm not a trader, by the way. I would like to be, but I've been focused on launching this business for the past 6 months, and I have been working with traders for longer than that, maybe a year. But I was able to really help him to get grounded and to have the mindset that he has really always wanted. And he's been doing really well since then. So, I'm kind of autistic guy, I'm super logical. And I was always obsessed with, why do smart people do stupid shit?
Amen.
I mean, why was I thinking and feeling and doing, things that weren't good for me, for example, or why does everybody, how do you explain that to yourself, and I that just was a question that I couldn't get away from for so long. And, then when I became a therapist, I would have clients where we would both agree that they should be different emotionally, and then they couldn't do anything about it. It was really frustrating. Or one time I even had a therapist say, the past is in the past, so it doesn't make sense for it to be affecting you. And I was like, well, yeah, but yeah, of course. What am I still doing here on your couch? I mean, this is, and so I really did finally figure it out. And I wrote a book. It's called Your Brain is a RoboCat. And so what that means is there's actually two different brain systems at work at the same time. And I came up with this metaphor because it just makes it a lot easier to understand. So like our logical brain is like a robot, and picture a robot riding on top of a cat, and it's pulling the reins, and it can control the cat a little bit. But then, the cat just kind of ends up wanting what it wants. And I call it a cat because cats are a pain in the neck. You can't get them to do what you want. And so your robot is your willpower, but the robot will run out of battery power, and then you're back to where you started. And even though you had all the best intentions and all the best plans, you are who you are emotionally. So what we've always needed is a way to interface with that cat brain, the emotional fight or flight brain. And so have you ever heard of EMDR? This
Yes.
type of therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't like it very much because they make you relive all the worst stuff that ever happened to you. That's the first therapy that ever started using eye movements. So when the client is moving their eyes back and forth like this, you're connecting both sides of your brain, and you're replicating rapid eye movement, and you're really able to get into that emotional part of the brain. So my online sessions at disciplinedownloads.com, because it's sort of like you're downloading a new program into your head, you watch this ball that moves back and forth, and then you have like aha moments much more often than you would from regular therapy. So I'm almost done. But I think that the enemy of any trader is adrenaline, because that takes your logical brain offline. So if you're in fight, flight, or freeze, or even if you're excited and like overconfident and you have all this adrenaline, your logical brain is supposed to be offline. And that's when people start to, make up for that, compensate for that, and things can seem to make sense to them at the time. But what my system does is it just dials down your nervous system to help you to have clarity and focus, and to be, using your logical brain as much as possible.
Nice. I love that you have the history and all that psychology work, because it's given you like a presence and an experience level to work from. Because I actually I recently read through the Market Wizards and then the New Market Wizards book, and in the second one it actually talks about the benefit of hypnosis for traders in order to be able to kind of rewire your brain as well. And so I think that there's a lot of support and a lot of things that different traders have tried, whether or not they tell everyone, I don't know, but there are things that people have done, such as hypnosis and EMDR, to get their brains to be a little bit more manageable and a little bit less like monkey brainy and focus on their system. So that's interesting that is sort of a kind of a core to how you have developed your technique there. And that's cool that you've already been practicing and using it on traders and helping them evolve. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. And once again, it isn't hypnosis, because I have a lot of training in hypnosis, but anytime I would propose doing that with a client, they'd say like, "Oh, you're gonna try to make me bark like a dog," and like, people just have so many misconceptions about hypnosis. You
Mhm.
can never get somebody to do something they don't want to do. It only reinforces intentions that you already have. And so my thing with the eye movements is 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 just as powerful as hypnosis, but you're awake and alert the whole time, and you can do it automatically. So you don't have to call a therapist, and then by the time you get an appointment, the problem's already blown over, and you got to drive there and all that stuff. This is just like an online course that's ultra convenient, and I've been having a lot of success with it so far.
Nice. I mean, a lot of us traders are at home based, right? And so that's cool that you can find a resource on the East Coast and do it online in your privacy of your own home and work through it and find out when it helps you and how often you need to practice it and in what ways that it's changing the way that you execute on your day. Because I mean, a great tool that can help you dial it in is priceless.
Yeah, right. And like I said, it's not just, like everybody else says, like, oh, try to meditate, just try really hard. Well, I'm still afraid. Well, just try really hard. Well, yeah, but I'm still afraid. Well, just keep telling yourself you're safe. I mean, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
interface with that subconscious part of the brain.
So what your therapy does is it explain it to me a little bit more. It gets you into your subconscious, and what benefit does that have to your executions at your chart?
Right. So yeah, let me give you an example. Let's say somebody just grew up with fear about money and financial insecurity, and they like trading and they like the excitement of it, but they're just like kind of too afraid to, they're gun shy and they don't want to lose. And so, um, like for example, what a session would do is it would have the person remember what happened like when they were younger, and then you you kind of have so when you're doing the eye movements, it gets you there in terms of your emotions, and then you could have them imagine some kind of a mentor or a coach, but it's not just pretend. Like with the eye movements, it really like feels like, oh wow, like a aha thing. And then what you could do is have them rewrite the story so that they didn't have, I mean, they'll always remember logically what happened, but it's just crazy, Becky, like how you could have like these radical shifts. I used to do it for like PTSD, of course. I've almost never failed when it comes to any type of a phobia, and so like I don't know if I'm doing a great job of explaining it, but it really like just goes much further beyond cognitive behavioral approaches or common sense, like practicing. It's just super powerful.
Nice. Yeah, I have certainly tried and practiced like efforts with meditation and visualization and like self-talk and like getting myself in the right headspace and focusing on what I want. But you're right. When the adrenaline takes over and you're in a trade and you have real leverage on and it's moving all over and it's not an immediate instant win that you can just like, oh, that was super easy. Those are not the hard days, right? The hard days are when you get in there and it's messing around and it's threatening to take you out at your deepest stop loss for the day. In those moments, that's when you really need to have like ideal control of your circumstances in your mind and your executions. But that is also the highest adrenaline situation in the entire trading day. And so what you're suggesting is like, it will help you remain calmer in those moments and be able to stay more in the robotic logical brain versus the cat chasing the mouse doing whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, right. And you know what? It's not even something that you have to practice or work on. It's just there. Like you just your brain has changed, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, people can, if they were to purchase one of the courses, I have 22 different courses on my website, but if they were to do that, then you can always reuse it to really make sure that it's driven home. But a lot of times they're designed to work in just one go round of like 25 minutes, and then yeah, it's like it's gone. And as a matter of fact, it's so natural and so subconscious that people sometimes forget that they actually had the problem in the first place. It's just like it's
Uh,
not even there anymore. Yeah, it's pretty weird, isn't it?
yeah. So your different courses are aimed at like different types of psychological barriers. Like if my issue were greed and someone else's issue were hesitation, those would be a different targeted course type of thing.
That's right. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. There's the catalog. I don't have it in front of me, but it's
You can
targeted
look.
to the most common problems that traders face, and yeah, there's something for everybody in there for sure.
Nice.
So, and of course, I am taking coaching clients to work personally as well. But yeah, it's like it's cool because when I was working with PTSD people, it, I mean, of course, it was tragic. Like I mean. I was getting burnt out. I mean, in one way, I did learn so much about how the brain works, and if I could successfully treat like some of the worst problems that people can ever have, then I'm not trying to minimize what traders go through, but I know I can definitely affect changes for their problems. And another thing that about traders that I like is that they are so motivated because, like their families or their friends could be begging them to change and they could just bullshit their way through it. But then when it comes to actually trading, they'll go the last mile. They'll become different people if they have to, if it makes them a better trader.
I think that's true because there's a statistic that says that like 90% of day traders fail. And that is a situation of like early traders will realize it's super fucking hard and then they will quit. They will move on to another thing. They'll go back to their other job. They'll try a different means of trading sometimes first. But then there are the 10% that are like, nope, I got a taste for it. I love it. I can do it. I'm going to work my ass off to like figure out how to next level myself. And so in that subgroup, that's us where we're like, tell me what to do. Like, give me a tip, prove to me it works. I will do it because I want this so badly. And so I think that is who you're talking about, because we are the ones that are like relentlessly driven to like find all the resources out there, change mentors to find the best person and like keep doing that self-improvement. Because if you really love it and you want to like get 7 figures or however, whatever your goal is, like we're going to put in the work.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a risk taker in my life and my career and stuff, but to be a trader, like I don't know if I have the cojones to do that. I would like to do that someday, but like I said, all my focus has been on to launch this business. But yeah, it seems like that type of person who like against all of the odds, it really thinks, yeah, I'm going to do it. I mean, that's really admirable. I think
I think it's admirable, and we get dollar signs in our eyes, but also it's hard and it takes a long time. And I think we all are human and we all have our own like messed upness in our core, right? We all come from different childhoods. We all come from previous lives. Some people are very early traders and some people it's a second career or a third career. And so in those circumstances, we're bringing, not to the extent of PTSD, such as like, a war hero or something, but and maybe there are veterans who are traders for sure. But like for myself, for example, I don't have like a significant PTSD, but I do have things in my life that have colored who I am now and have made me have certain tendencies that don't always help me as a trader. And so, I mean, there's a whole spectrum of our shit that we bring to the table essentially when we're trying to do this really hard thing. And so everyone I think has a different path in terms of what they have to work through. So would you then, like if someone were interested, but they were like, I don't really know exactly what the root is of my messed upness that's holding me back, you would probably then have a conversation and try and root into which direction to hit first?
Yeah, that's a great question. And another really good thing about the eye movements is it's not me making changes to the person. It's me creating them the opportunity for them to change themselves. So you can also use that to have people get perspective and to look at like what is going on for them. One technique I use is to try to come up with a metaphor for what like it really feels like, and then that gets you out of your logical brain. So like let's say like somebody has FOMO and they think of it as, geez, I'm not, they think of it as like a monkey on their back, for example. And then if you can have, like, you do certain steps and you help them to dial down their adrenaline, and then what is the solution to the metaphor? And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to get a baseball bat and just nail that monkey. And then you ask them, well, what is the solution to your actual problem? And that has totally freed up their creativity and their wisdom. And then people have like breakthroughs that way. And it's super cool to see because like people come up with things that I never could have come up with myself. Like one quick example, I had this woman who got into a car accident. She couldn't drive anymore. And then I had her imagine herself doing something she really likes. So she loves kayaking. So now when she drives, she pictures herself in a kayak and she calls it her kayak. Like, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And it's not something she has to work on like everybody else has. She doesn't have to try. She doesn't have to keep trying to convince herself. It's just there. Like it's in place.
Nice.
So, like, I'm sorry, but I read a bunch of trading psychology, and I really like Mark Douglas. I thought he was awesome, and I like how he was just very frank with people. He said, like to have to know what the ideal mindset is one thing, but to actually have it is one of the hardest things you're ever going to do in your life. And so that's how I see this kind of shortcut. It's sort of like, let's say you knew what car stereo equipment you wanted to buy, and then you bought all of it and you put it all in your back seat. Now you're driving around like, hey, I'm pretty cool, huh? But you look like an idiot because you haven't installed it. That's where I come in. People didn't even know there is that step of actually converting it. So like, with adrenaline, if you tell somebody who's full of adrenaline, you should calm down, and they're like, yeah, I really should.
Mhm.
That's kind of like you're telling somebody who's full of alcohol, you should be sober. Like you can't, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I,
When you're like in a heightened state and you're like, but my coach will laugh at this if he watches because all the time he's like, well, did you think about this? And I'm like, no, because blah, 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 blah. Like I was in this moment and this was like, I was focused on this and I was worried about this. And he's like, but we talked about this last week and the week before. And if you just look at this first, and I'm like, you're right. You're right. But it's hard in the moment to sometimes lock it down and do as you intend to do when you're not adrenalized.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, if he were to ask you, what were you thinking? Like, there's not necessarily a great answer. I mean, because part of you wasn't thinking. I mean, it's you're acting or reacting, and that's one cool thing about day trading is like it's so like it's not like you have all this time to consider all the pros and cons of everything. You're acting or reacting,
Mm-hmm.
and so like and everybody says you should keep a journal and you should look back and try to remember like what so when like I think that's not necessarily super effective because if you're asking yourself what subconscious motivations did I have when I made that trade, well, by definition it wasn't conscious. Subconscious means that you weren't aware of it, and so you're trying to like put all these right brain right brain emotional phenomena and translate it into logical left brain terms and then apply that going forward. I actually have a course where it's designed to help people to get in touch with what exactly they were going through. You don't have to convert it into like it doesn't get lost in translation. It actually helps you to correct automatically what you were doing wrong. And so that's one of my best courses, I think, right there
Nice.
about self-assessment.
I love your point about how it allows us to basically know what we need to do better. Because I think as traders, like when I have a really good conversation with my mentor or someone who understands the way that I day trade, if you drill down into something of like, why was this and what did you do here and how's it, and then you can really have epiphanies of like, oh yeah, I knew this was my intention, but in the moment you're seat of your pants, you're operating quicker. But I think we as humans and as traders, we kind of do know what's right, but we don't always choose to make that the priority. So it sounds like what you offer is the ability to self-diagnose and treat, and then operate under that with how we would ideally operate when we're not in that heightened state. When we know how we need to behave, that you can connect us more with that in real time by the work that we would do.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
nice. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I understand, but that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like it's hard to talk about how it works in theory. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the problems I had with that PTSD app that I had in terms of selling it is because like I could tell somebody I remember actually having a conversation where I was telling about all these breakthroughs we've been having. I mean, people turning their lives around from an app. And then this guy was like, well, that's great that it works in practice, but how does it work in theory? And like
Mm.
science can't describe what dreaming is or meditation or mindfulness. And so like it's because you're trying to translate it into logical left brain terms. And I ended up telling this guy, I really don't give a shit how it works in theory. I know that it works.
That's awesome. Like try it and see. You're not, it's not hypnosis. You're not asking them to like totally forego their conscious mind and let you bark like a dog for them or whatever. It is an awake process. So that's a great opportunity. And I think that it's cool that it's called discipline downloads, because discipline is a term that is constantly like kicked around in trading, because that is it's a global term that can mean a lot of things in a lot of different circumstances. But in trading, it really, we refer to it a lot, because if we could just follow the damn rules, so right there, you're speaking our language.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how you can't like trust yourself? I mean, like, I try to go on a diet and I mean, that's not gonna be good.
It's tricky. Yeah, like that.
Um,
Do you
oh,
have
pardon me?
an example of a trader that, like a certain specific trader who was like really just too greedy with their trades and would get in profit and then wouldn't take it, and how, what sort of time frame it looked like doing this and then getting a different outcome?
Yeah, sure. So, this one guy, he was Irish, and he so we were trying to drill down and find out what is going on there subconsciously, and I decided to try that metaphor technique. And what he came up with is like this leprechaun that's kind of in his ear, and the leprechaun kept telling him, to not quite do the right thing. And I had him talk to the leprechaun, and of course this is all in my sessions too. But it turns out the leprechaun was really afraid of all things, and it was because, like, well, you got to get $5 million so you can retire, and then you can start living your life and blah blah blah. And so, like, he had no idea intellectually that it actually had anything to do with fear, but he had such an aha moment there. And so, I think in order to change something or to drop something, you have to see what was valuable about it in the first place. So he didn't like kill the leprechaun or anything. He was like, listen, I really appreciate your feedback, and I'm still going to listen to you, but I'm just not like, I'm going to dial your voice down. And then we helped him to establish like another voice in his ear as well, like the voice of reason, or I forget what he came up with, but I think it was Superman, to be honest. And yeah, of course, Superman. But it's like, for him now, it's just so much. There's not this tension, not the adrenaline, not the fear. It's all resolved.
Yeah.
So
Plus, it sounds like that's a way to like love yourself through it too. Like, I see how you're like trying to protect me, and like you're saying these things that I should think about, but like you're not helping me in this situation, and you're not a part of my success plan. So I'm gonna say thank you and shush, and I'm gonna like stick with what I know works. So that's so cool. I like that. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I have an ebook on my website that really, it goes into much more depth for everybody, and then there's free sessions so that people could try it. I really want people to try it as much as they can, because you really can't describe it unless you try it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a subconscious thing. Like, I had this person working for me, and she had been talking about it with clients for months, and then when I did a session on her, she's like, "Oh my God, like now it all makes sense." Like, she had an aha moment about aha moments. So yeah, I'd love for people to just even check it out. Let me know what they think. I'd love to hear your opinion, and if there's anything in particular that you would like to work on, I could just send you that particular session. And then also, I forgot to mention that for your listeners, there's a bundle I put together, which is normally the sessions are $50 each, but you can get 2 sessions and the ebook for $50. And the code is dang it.
We'll put it in the description for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
link your website and the free ebook and the code in the description. And then I did see on your website you do have one you can check out, and so you guys can even just get a little taste for it there, and then find all of the resources down there and testimonials on your website. And this is such a unique resource that I hadn't heard prior to discovering you, and so I'm very excited. Like, it's another way that we can kind of be more in charge of what we're doing and how we're operating this business. And you said it. I mean, we're like OCD type A, like, we're going to figure this shit out. So like, the more resources, the better. So thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for such great questions and having me on.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Yeah, so find the resources below. We'll link everything. And I just really appreciate everyone being with us today and getting to know Dr. Bonanno. And a happy new year to you, sir, and everyone else. And let's make this year the best year yet, because as my very good friend, Miss Kendra, would always say our best trading days are ahead. And I definitely feel that. And that's the energy we're bringing into this new year. And this is an exciting new resource to bring in early in the year. So thank you so much.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.